Hi there, everybody. Well, I'm here under my favorite tree. Little snow covered. Snow's gently falling. It is cold, but this is a good place to be because I just wanted to mention two things very quickly that may have passed by rather swiftly this past January. We're at the very end of the month now, but two very thoughtful and contemplative type times for us, even as they still speak to us today. The first was the birthday marking Martin Luther King Jr.'s day that he was born on this earth. We celebrate that the third Monday of the month. So that was the 18th this year. We celebrate a man who used his Christian faith, who let that faith so imbibe deep down inside of him into his heart that he dared to spark a movement of civil rights. We think, well, why did we need that? Well, think about it. We had a civil war that you may have thought, well, that puts an end to that, right? All of our black brothers and sisters are now free. But they weren't. They weren't free because so many of the people of this nation, the white population of this nation, felt they weren't worthy to be free, felt that they were only worth 3/5 of a person. Yeah, that's right. They were counted in census as 3/5 of a person. Martin Luther King Jr., whose faith in Jesus compelled him to say, we need to stop. We need to look each other in the eye and say, yes, you are created in the loving image of God, even as I am created in that image of God. We all are God's children, regardless of race. And you might say that you can extend that to regardless of gender, regardless of age. We are all God's children. So we had that day. I think most of us may have had it off from work, or a great deal of people, especially if you work for the federal government. But other than that, it just kind of passed by, and maybe you didn't pay too much attention to it. Another day that could have quickly gone by on the calendar without looking at it was Holocaust Remembrance Day, the 27th. The Holocaust, in which millions of Jews, and also there were Christians and people of other faiths too, who were led off to the concentration camps, gassed, and then burned. Horrible, horrible deeds done by humanity, done by, dare I say it, white Christians who lived in a governmental system that said, you know, white power. Sad, sad moment in our history. I am pastor of a Lutheran church, as most of you know, but maybe some of you don't know. The Lutherans in Germany were very complicit in the Holocaust. The Lutherans in Germany turned a blind eye. And why? Because, hey, they had it pretty good. Society was great for them. Why should they worry about the Jews who we had now pushed into the slums and discriminated terribly against? And then we all know the rest of the story about the concentration camps and the extermination efforts of Hitler and the Nazi regime. So we remember that. And why do we remember that? It's because our Christian faith tells us to remember it. We hold near and dear to our hearts the scriptures. Just take a good hard look at what you read in the Psalms especially, but also in the prophets. Time and time again, they are calling the people to remember. Remember what God has done to them. Remember how when they were being discriminated against and when they were under horrible trials and tribulations at the hands of other nations and other peoples, how God was there for them. And those scriptures, those same scriptures, call upon the people of Israel as they remember that, now to remember, meaning take care of the foreigners in your midst, those of other races, those of even of other religions. Take care of them. God loves them as much as God loves you. That was the message. And so, day of remembrance, yes, that should be a day of remembrance for all of us. All of us. And we need to pray that such atrocities never take place under our watch again. Even though they are in some places of the world. There are efforts by certain groups to exterminate other groups. And it's a horrible thing. But we need to be involved in a couple different ways. One, prayer for those under persecution, but also let our voices be known that we are not that kind of a people. We are people who truly do believe God loves us. God made every one of us in His image. We are all precious to Him. Well, with that in mind, go take a walk today. Take a walk out in the winter wonderland. Know that in the beauty of the falling snow, the beauty of the winter landscape, we find hope, we find peace, we find comfort, but we also find the strength to be the people God has called us to be, peacekeepers, and those who ring the words of justice and freedom for all. God's blessings be with you.